Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for all supporting your teams of choice. We won't go into any detail. No fighting. Cowboys, no fighting. So I would just like to start off by saying happy birthday to Nitya. Her birthday is September 5th, Darren Young on September 7th, and Arpita on September 21st. I would also like to say happy anniversary to Miss Beverly, 13 years. And as well, our supervisor, Miss Christine Tovar, is also celebrating her 13th year anniversary. I also want to just kind of touch base. I'm sure almost everybody in this room has received an email from myself about continuing education, whether you have completed or still need hours regarding that. If you need some ideas, best way for that is going to be on our newsletter that comes out the first Friday of every month, except for this month, because it'll come out this Friday. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can give you some ideas. But I also will go ahead and say our volunteer spotlight is going to be Miss Amanda Wendell. Check her out. She'll be in the newsletter as well. And next up, we have Monica with a little update for you. Hello, everyone. I just have a small update, just letting you know that we have our new volunteer training coming up in October. Can y'all hear me? In October, we're going to have it on Tuesdays of October the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. And we will be having it at the Chick-fil-A headquarters here downtown. So it's something different, this training. So again, if you have any family, friends, co-workers, let them know that we have a training coming up, send them my way, and then we can get them started. You have any questions, Susan? No? Thank you. I enjoy lunch. Nick? Yeah, Darla, if you want to go ahead and do it. Everyone go.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, I'm Nick Solis. I'm the development director for CASA. Now, I just want to go over a few save the dates. So we have November 11th, which is our 2022 wine pairing. And the theme is going to be a small change in a big world. And it kind of revolves around what you do as a volunteer for these kids. Something as little as checking their medical needs, their educational needs. It makes a big impact in these children's lives. And going forward, it's something that they kind of remember for the rest of their life. So it's always important with all of the work you do as volunteer. And that's what we have. It's Friday, November 11th.
Hello, I'm Darla, I'm the Rocky Gonzalez County Supervisor. I have 4 cases available. I have the Baber children, it's 3-year-old twins and a 1-year-old girl. The twins live with dad, the girl lives with the maternal grandmother. Trial is set for November And we're looking to PMC the twins to dad, and grandma's planning on keeping the little girl. Then I have the Vasquez three little ones. They're 1 month, 1 year, and 2 years. They're placed here in Victoria. Mom has already completed rehab and dad is working services, and they have visits in Gonzales every Wednesday afternoon. Then I have the Garza child. She is in JTMC with her mom in the department. She's 13 in an RTC in Houston. She has some behavior issues that they are working on. Then I have out of Lavaca County, the Gutierrez Good Children. It's a 15-year-old girl with fictive kin in Hallettsville, 13-year-old girl in an RTC in Houston, and a 6-year-old and 3-year-old boy who are with an aunt in Hallettsville. The mom has worked services and maintained her sobriety. The 13-year-old really wants to go home, and the parties are working together to develop a plan for transition to a monitored return. The aunt plans on keeping the boys, and the oldest daughter wants to stay with the fictive kin. Mom is okay with that. We're just gonna work out how that will look in the future.
So if any of those cases sound interesting to you, please reach out to Darla. She'd like to tell you more about those cases and see how we can get you signed up. Who else here today? That's a fun one. How about volunteers? If you'd raise your hand, how many volunteers do we have in the room? Yay. How about guests or people that want to train? All right, cool, welcome, thank you all. Now you all be sure to let us know if you need to have any questions answered about the role of the volunteer. We want to help you out there. And let's see, how about board members? We have board members in the room. I saw 1 and 2. Hey, Celeste, hey, Amanda. Thank you all for joining. Yay, some people know each other. And how about staff? Okay, staff, yeah, we're all here. Great. And thank you all for attending today. I think you're going to enjoy today's speaker. I just wanted to share some information with you about the work we've done in August. And we served 176 children, and 31 of those children hadn't to volunteer, but we were at 82% volunteer to child ratio, which is good, but we could always do better. So, you know, if you know of anybody who'd like to join our October training, please send them our way. Monica or Kelsey would like to get them registered in the class. We would like to have all of these children with the volunteer by the end of the year. And those children, they make up 106 families, and 20 of those families have the volunteer. So we want to make sure that everyone's going to receive the services of a trained volunteer so we can take care of the children's needs, represent them in the foster care system, and help support the parents. So that's really what we want to do to make a stronger community. And I think you'll learn more about some resources to help parents today. And let's see, we had 19 children leave care in August. Good work, you all. I want to thank Marla, Darla, Karen Gregory, Raquel Gavin, Melissa Mendoza, Donna Rivers, Stephanie White. You all spent between 14 and 29 months making sure that, let's see, 8 children got reunified with parents, 2 children were adopted by relatives, 7 children were placed with relatives, 1 child aged out, and 1 child was dismissed by the court. So that was really good work. Most of our kids are going back to family. That's what we really want to see happen. So thank you for that. And we did have 10 children enter care in the month of August. And we had 59 volunteers active, making sure that kids were receiving everything they need. And let's see, August, 355 hours of service. Thank you for donating that. That was great. And you all drove over 2,792 miles. That's a lot of work for the year's total of 2,268 hours of donated service. That's really great. And with the mileage, if we were to turn that into a dollar figure, we've donated over $60,000 to help families in our community. So good work, you all. You deserve a round of applause for that. And then I do want to point out that we do have a reimbursement for travel for volunteers. So if you're going to travel over 60 miles, get with your volunteer supervisor to get the right report, the volunteer form, travel reimbursement for 2022, and we can reimburse you at the federal rate, which is 62.5 cents a mile. So please check with your volunteer supervisor and get that paperwork in. We'd like to reimburse you for that travel. And then I think I have Amanda, our board vice president, Amanda Collins. Speaker.
Hello, so I was told on the spot that I'm giving a board update, so. It is what it is. So we had our last board meeting, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and we voted in 3 new members, Regina May, Tracy Gore, and Tammy Kotzer. So we're excited to spread the labor a little bit more evenly. Rebecca Bootson was a volunteer that came to our board meeting and talked to us a little bit about the child that she's worked with for many, many years, and we really enjoyed that. I think there's been, because of COVID or otherwise, a bit of a disconnect between the board and the volunteers. And so the board loves to hear from y'all. I'm sure y'all love to hear more from us. I think Rhonda Patates has volunteered to come to the next board meeting. Is that right? Are you going to volunteer down? But if anybody else is interested, wants to speak to the board, we would love to have y'all. Let's see. Is that it? I believe that is it. And so now I am introducing Mr. Richard Garza, who is with Divinity Family Services, and he is going to be our speaker today.
Thank you, Megan. I am here with friends. I know a few of you. We serve with Wanda Montag. Hope everybody knows her. She's a friend of mine. I serve on her board. I am from San Antonio, but when I got this job with Divinity Family Services, a little bit of background about myself that we can lead to what we're going to be talking about today. I graduated from St. Mary's University. That's a college there in San Antonio. Worked for the state for about 7.5 years. And then I had 2 brothers that worked for the phone company, AT&T. And I remember those days that they would come pick me up sometimes. State doesn't pay that much, especially back then 30, 40 years ago. I'm 71 now, so I take you way back. But I always remember when I was working overtime and not getting paid for it, and my older brother came in the Winnebago to pick me up. And it was like, okay, he works for AT&T phone company back then. I thought, well, it's my time now to go ahead and see if I can work there. And I did for 25 years. One of the things that really helped me out, and Debbie and myself were talking about how CASA saved us. And Debbie, I didn't tell you my story, but I raised 3 boys on my own. Loved it. Once I settled and I asked God to help me raise these kids, it was just an enjoyable time for me. They decided they wanted to go back with mom. Mom at one point had a drug problem. That's why I understand you guys. I was a CASA volunteer as well. And she's doing great now. But it was at one time when my boys wanted to go back and stay with her. I was against it. But the compromise that they were going to go with grandma and mom's mom. But that's such a void in my life. I didn't know what to do. Well, there was a lot of people from the phone company that volunteered there in San Antonio for CASA. I did that, and I can say that it saved my life, and it's something that I thank God very often for what He has done for me and why I'm here as well. I do quite a number of things with Cynthia. I see Cynthia in the corner of my eye. She's standing up. And I promised that I was going to have her speak in regards to belong. There's just a lot of good things that are happening here in the Golden Crescent area, in Victoria, and all the way down to the Rio and Eagle Pass. So I wanted Cynthia just to give an update because it definitely affects you guys. Cynthia Ramirez will belong.
Thank you, Richard. Sorry, I had to leave to another meeting, so I was like, oh, I gotta get up there. But like Amanda, Richard put me on the spot. I didn't know I was gonna speak, but I'm happy to speak though. So, Belong is, we're on set on track to take over October the 1st. A lot of the DFPS workers are saying, no, it's not happening, it's not happening. Well, it's not happening October 1st because it's a Saturday. So we're set to take over October the 3rd. I'll be here if anybody has any questions. Nicole Wayne, the regional director, if anybody has any questions, we'll still be here. Just trying to, right now, we are working with DFPS workers already to transition. Hopefully everything goes not as bumpy. We know it's gonna be bumpy, so I'm not gonna say it's gonna be smooth. It's not gonna be smooth, but we're gonna get through it. So thank you for your patience and thank you for being with us. We're excited to be moving forward into phase 2 and working alongside with CASA. And thank you, Richard, for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Sure, thank you. So a lot of good things are going to be happening here in Victoria and the Golden Crescent area. I'm very happy that Belong is the CBC, and I forget what that stands for, but a choice here. I really enjoyed the management they set up. I enjoy that they have good leaders here. You got good people within the community, and it's really, really going to work. Me being from San Antonio, I saw what happened to Family Tapestry. There were the CBC. I'm calling it CBC because I get what Belong is called. Tim, if you remember, community-based care. There you go. So it started. One of them started in Region 8, was in San Antonio. It didn't quite work out well for Family Tapestry, but we learned from that, right? And that's what Belong did. They picked good managers. Some people that are from Child Protective Services, some not. Some people that maybe have not worked in the child welfare belong as long as, but they're good managers and they're good people to manage this and within the community. So that's what's going on. They're in phase 1 right now. Basically, it's kind of like an introductory to this area. Phase 2 is when they really get busy. So if I can just tell you what that happens and how that's, because it will affect y'all as well. What will happen is that eventually there will not be a Child Protective Services here in Golden Crescent. It will be nothing but Belong. So the CPS caseworkers, hopefully they'll transition to Belong. They will use their experience to continue with the child welfare here. But the governor wants for that to happen. So it's happening here in the Golden Crescent area, all the way to Del Rio and Eagle Pass, and everywhere in between. Everything in Region 8, if y'all guys know what Region 8 is, except Bear County, will transition to Belong. So that's a lot of territory and a lot of children as well. So let's pray that everything goes well. I know that it will. There's leaders that are in Belong, there's leaders within the community, as Tim, as Ms. Collins and Amanda and other people that I know that will definitely be there to help out. As for me, I work for Divinity Family Services. It's a child placement agency. I work there now. I just completed 4 years, but again, my background, I was in CASA. When I retired from AT&T, I went to Child Protective Services because I wanted to do that. I retired from there. I was a legal supervisor for about 4 years. So I did lots of legal, a lot of conservatorship, but I was also in adoptions, and I did pride training, foster adopt training for them as well. One way that I know Wanda is that I would always come to do the pride training here in Victoria. So when I got this job with Divinity, I made a beeline towards Wanda because I knew, first of all, people from Victoria are good people. And then secondly, I know Wanda would be the person to speak with in regards to child welfare, and it's worked out very well. Other things that I work with is that I'm on the board with Wanda, with the Foster Parent Association here in Victoria. As is Amanda, you're part of that as well, aren't you? Okay, so again, I know Amanda well. But I take pride in that. I also belong, I've been appointed by the DFPS commissioner to what's called ACPAMC, and I forget what all that stands for, but basically what that is that we promote adoptions of minority children. So I represent this region, I represent Region 8. Pastor Mel Keys from San Antonio. Okay, there's a hint. There's two people from San Antonio and nowhere else here in this region. We represent Region 8 and we do travel. And that's why I come to Victoria. And Pastor Mel does travel as well. We're not here just representing San Antonio. What we do is that we gather once a quarter. Our next venue will be in Dallas. And what we've done is we've taken on several projects. One of the pet projects that I want to be a part of, and I want ACPNC to be part of, is to work with the Heart Gallery. So I've spoken to Belong so that Heart Gallery can come here. It's being led by Corey Goff, who reports directly to the governor. That sounds better now, right? Reports directly to the governor. So that's how important that is. Those that don't know what Heart Gallery is, basically it is anybody, any child that's up for adoption. There are portraits taken of them. These portraits are in exhibit in different areas. It will come here to Victoria soon. Right now, they're in North Star Mall in San Antonio. But what Corey Goff wants to do is take all these pictures, take all these portraits of children that are up for adoption and take them to places that they've never been before. So that's Laredo, they've never been in Lubbock, Eagle Pass, Del Rio. They don't only want to hit the larger towns, but what we want to do in helping out the Heart Gallery is that we want to bring these children back to their community. So the project that we're working on right now is anytime they have a Heart Gallery in a certain city, maybe the best thing to do is have the children that come from that area be on exhibits so we can bring these children back, get them adopted in those communities and bring them back to the communities that they know well. It's a huge project. Please pray for us that we do a good job on that. Anybody that wants to be part of the ACPAMC, I think there's going to be one representative of Pastor Keys that will run out of his time with ACPAMC, so we'll be looking for another representative. If y'all are interested, just leave your email with me and I'll send you that information. We are getting very active here in Texas. So some of the people that didn't realize how active we're going to be don't want to be on that committee anymore. And that's well and good. And that's well and good. But people that are active and that really want to do things for child welfare, please consider that. And if you're not selected for that, please be part of the meetings. You can sign up for that. Again, just send me an email and I'll make sure that you become part of that email where y'all can listen to the meetings that we have. They are very productive. One of the things that we do is that we ask pastors to be part of this as well. Our chairman is a pastor out of Lubbock. Our co-chair is a pastor also out of Lubbock. And these are young, energetic people that I just enjoy working with. So a lot of respect for them as well. I am a retired CPS employee, as I mentioned. I was primarily a legal supervisor. A few of the cases that I had, Judge Montemayor from Bexar County asked our unit to take care of the tougher cases. The way we defined that was that any case we feel that was going to the media or has already gone to the media, those cases would go to my unit. So we saw lots of methamphetamine habits there in the parents. Therefore, if you see methamphetamines, you're going to see also domestic violence, right? Those two just go hand in hand. I'm trying to keep myself on this camera here. I promise you. Okay, yeah, sure.
Now, I promise you, I'll show you this, but how many people know what child placement agencies do, what foster adopt agencies do? How many don't? How many don't know what we do? You do not know what, okay. So I'll present that to you guys, okay? So let's talk about that now, then we can have a back and forth. That's what I'm here for. Not to be up here and speak, but to listen to you guys. And there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, I'm sure. And I see some nodding of the head, so that's great. So we use this for the foster adopt meetings. In other words, when families, parents, anybody that's interested in becoming a foster parent, we present this to them. So it's a foster adopt information meeting. We give some statistics to begin with, and I already messed up. So here's the stats.
I can just.
Okay. The next one. Or nothing. Okay. So here's the stats. So many things. Let's start out here. So there's 46,000. These stats are about a year and a half old. So they have changed. Probably gotten lower, Tim. What you think? Yeah. So right now there's, as of this, there's 46,000 foster children in Texas. Almost 430,000 in the United States. So this is broken down. 24% are 0 to 2-year-old children. 18% are 3 to 5-year-old. 17% are between 6 and 9 years of age. 14% are 10 to 13 years of age. And then 27% are 14 to 17 years of age. That's pretty proportional. I was very surprised when I saw that. How many foster children 14 to 17 years of age are proportionate with the rest of the age category. So that was interesting to me. Still, y'all guys know what TARE is? TARE, Texas Adoption Resource Exchange. Ms. Collins, you know what that is? That is where all the children in Texas, those that are up for adoption, that's the website where they're listed. Okay. So are there 46,000 children there? I don't know, because that's foster children. But there's quite a number of children that are there. And again, talking about ACPA and Steve, we want to try our best to get these children adopted, because primarily they're minority. Okay. A lot of special needs children, a lot of children that are older, adolescents. But one of the things that we are trying our very best to try to get these children adopted. If y'all guys don't know what that TARE site, have you never seen that TARE site? Are you looking that up right now? Yeah. You'll be shocked, because you're going to see a lot of minority children, a lot of African-American children, quite a number of Hispanic children, but you're going to see a lot of special needs children. And also you're going to see quite a number of siblings also, okay? So that's one of the things that hopefully we'll be working on that as years go by, as months go by. So about the children, most of them that are up for adoption, these talk about foster, are teens, sibling groups, they're minority, a lot of medically fragile, special needs children that are up for adoption in foster. And a lot of children are fostered to reunify. One of the things that I love about CASA and what I love about Divinity Family Services is that usually child placement agencies, they really make the money in adoptions, right? Tim, you know that. But what I love about Divinity is we work very hard towards reunification. That's our main goal. We want our children to go back home. That's what we want. We feel that's what God wants. So we try our very best to work on that. So I'm very happy when on those stats that you gave, Tim, that y'all guys are really working towards reunification. And I'm very happy to be part of this. Congratulations. Yeah. And I worked with a great group of people. But our child placement agencies, we make our monies through adoptions. But I love the idea that there are child placement agencies, not just Divinity, that really want these families to be reunified because that's where they belong. So it talks about what a kid's been, what experiences they had in the biological home. So we see lots of trauma. What causes this trauma? They've been homeless. We know a lot of adolescents that are homeless because they run away. They want to run away from the trauma. Lots of trafficking that goes on. I have a friend of mine that she was in my unit there in CPS. Now she's an FBI agent. And what she does is that when FBI agents find these homes where they're trafficking the children, she goes in right afterwards and helps these children with whatever the needs are and try to find homes for them. So she is kept very busy. It's a tough job for her. And maybe one of these days I can bring her down here so she can give a presentation as well. But these FBI agents are extremely, extremely busy with trafficking. It's a world that I did not know existed. It is just something that's just horrible that we hear about every once in a while on the news, but it just happens right on our back door as well. It's amazing. And of course, with trauma, there's a loss of caregiver and loss of community as well. It's broken down to 6 factors of trauma, and that's being brought up because there's trauma towards with the mom that the trauma that she experienced was a difficult pregnancy, difficult birth, any child that could be born premature, there could be some difficulties with them as well. But the main trauma is through neglect, abuse, and just other trauma that might be occurring in the home. And we all know that kids lack, also kids that have access to basic needs. Another thing that we're trying to work here with Amanda and others is try to bring other resources here in Victoria. It looks like there's a deficit of therapists here. Yeah. So I've been promised that the agency is called Pursuit of Happiness. They do want to open up a business here or bring a therapist from San Antonio down to Victoria. So Tim, just to let you know that we're working on this as well through ACPAOC and to with Wanda as well. So we're definitely working on that. And we all know, as y'all are CASA workers, they all need unique parenting. They're different children. They're the same children that we have as adolescents as parents, but they've had more trauma, so they require more needs. If I sound a little tired, I'm sorry. I came from Dallas, so I apologize for that. So here's the team, and of course CASA is here. We all know who the team is. So the child's on top. We have the biological parents who are very much part of the team if we're trying towards reunification. And of course, the foster parents are there. And you can see the child placement agency, the attorneys there. There should be a therapist, a judge should be very involved. And of course, we have the CPS caseworker, and there'll be belong workers eventually. Okay, once we get phased into that phase 2. And we have the parents. It's important as CASA workers, it's important as us, as foster adopt agency, that we show empathy towards the parents. It starts with them. We need to have an interest towards them. We need to engage with the parents. I'm preaching to the choir because y'all guys are so good at that. Your training is awesome. I remember that training 30 years ago when I went through it. Y'all have some very good training in showing how you guys engage with the biological parents. One thing that we're very good at, I'm saying we as CASA workers, is that it's never been a us against them mentality. It's always that we want to help out. We want to help these families out, the biological families. It was so neat to hear some of these reunifications that you were talking about. That was pretty cool. So we're there to help reunification. We're there to help engage with these families. We're there to engage with the abuelitos of the families as well. Because once we get comfortable with them, biological parents will be comfortable and children will be comfortable as well. And of course, we have the child. So the child is removed from the biological home and placed with a foster parents. We try to find kinship parents. We as Divinity Family Services work very carefully with kinship. 80% of our caseload is kinship families. So we address the needs of kinship more than the non-kinship families, but we do have non-kinship families as well. As you know, the children have visits. I know in San Antonio, the judges are having weekly visits with the rent out. So the judges are ordering weekly visits. Excuse me. So the judges are ordering weekly visits with the families now, which I think is really good. And I appreciate everything y'all do as CASA workers because y'all facilitate those visits as well. And foster parents, we're the ones that parent the child. They support the biological parents. They have lots of contact with Child Protective Services where we belong. You as a CASA worker are there as part of the team, and also the attorney ad litem is there, helping the foster parents. And the foster parents are the ones that transport, okay? So it is the foster parent responsibility to make sure the child goes to the dentist, the doctor, to therapy. That is the responsibility of the foster parent. One of the neat things, I know you guys get involved with service plans as well. So the service plan, there's two types of service plans. There's one that the biological parents sign. So that service plan, for those that are new, that service plan is where it's a contract. So mom, dad, we took your children away because you guys were using drugs. There was abuse in the home. There was domestic violence. So on this contract, the service plan that we're going to be signing up, this is going to say you need to go to rehab, whether it be inpatient or outpatient rehab. You guys have problems with domestic violence. There's some really good resources that will help you out with domestic violence. You guys need therapy. The children need therapy. So these are all a lot of things that the foster parents and also the CASA workers facilitate. Am I right? Those have been there for 13 years. No, that's some of the things that y'all facilitate as well, are these visits. So requirements to be a foster parent, 21 years of age or older, financially stable. We look at the past 60 days of income. We don't care if you're rich. All we don't want to know is that y'all are paying the bills. Be open to sharing family history. This family history is called a home study. This is about 20 pages long. These home studies are where there's a lot of history involved with that. We look how you were disciplined as a child. The foster parent was disciplined as a child. How they disciplined. We talk to the children, how they're being disciplined and what they think of the parents being involved in fostering. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
And of course, there's a lot of checks also. There's a FBI check, FBI fingerprint check. CPS does their own check, their own criminal history check. We look at law enforcement, what's called an address survey. We see who's been to that home as well. So, and also anybody that's a frequent visitor, 14 years of age or older, we ask for those same type of requirements of FBI check and everything else that's listed here. Y'all guys didn't know that. That's good. I'm glad we're going over this. So a lot of parents are requesting for adoption. So when the parents aren't able to perform that service plan, right? So that service plan says, mom and dad, y'all have methamphetamine use in the home. We want y'all guys to get better. We want y'all guys to start passing drug tests. And if they don't, more than likely that's going to lead to termination, right? So what happens in that, and just to go back on the history of the case, the parents, the biological children are removed from the home. There's a 262 that's held. 262 means that's the paragraph in the Texas Family Code, where you go in front of the judge, the biological parents can go in front of the judge, CPS being the plaintiff. They're the ones that brought up the suit. And CPS says, Judge, these parents are using methamphetamine in the home. The children are being abused. There's a lot of domestic violence. And at that 262, the judge will say, all right, we're going to remove the children from the home. Okay. And to give you a little bit of history on that, y'all CASA workers have been around for a while. Y'all know this, but after the 262 is held, within 60 days, we go back to court, we being CPS, along with the biological parents. So at that point, there's a service plan that we talked about. That service plan is being presented to the judge, usually signed by the biological parents, saying, this is the contract that biological parents will be working on to get their children back. So that's at the 60-day, meaning within 60 days, we're going back to court to talk about the service plan. And 5 months after the removal of the children, that's the next time that we're going back to court. So at that point, it's called a permanency hearing or a permanency review. And it's called a review because we're looking at, see how the children are doing. How are they doing? Have they been taken to the dentist? Have they been to the doctor? How are they doing in school? Are they visiting their parents? So the judge wants to know that from the CPS caseworker. But what the CPS caseworker needs to report to as well to the judge is, are the parents doing their service plan? Are they going to rehab? Have they completed rehab? Have they not gone to rehab at all? Have they completed their domestic violence course? How are they doing in therapy? Now, if they're doing well at this point, CPS will say that the permanency plan is reunification. And at that point, there's a chance that the children can go back to the home. We're not closing the case, but we're sending the children back home to see how they're doing with the family. Now, if the parents are doing part of that plan, of that service plan, more than likely the plan will be a dual plan. It will be reunification, but it might also be termination of parents' rights because these parents aren't really trying to finish their service plans. They might just be checking the boxes only. So CPS needs to tell the judge what is the plan at that 5-month review, the permanency review. The next hearing, in about 10 months from there, that's when it really gets serious because at that point, CPS is presenting to the judge whether it's going to be termination. Is it going to be reunification where we can close the case? Or are we going to extend this case another 6 months because finally the parents are doing what they're supposed to be doing? So cases don't go beyond 18 months. Usually cases try to close at 12 months, but the judge can extend it to 18 months, okay? At that point, there's another review at 10 months, and about 2 weeks to a month after that hearing, there's another hearing called merits. And at that point, that's when decisions are made. The parents' rights could be terminated because they did not do their service plan. They could be going home, the case is closed. Or if CPS feels that the parents are doing what they need to do, and there's this possibility that they can have reunification with the children because they finally started working on the plan, the judge can extend that case for another 6 months. But 18 months is where the case is closed. Okay. There's other ways of doing it, but that's basically how it works out. Yeah. And it talks about a child's journey through foster care. So it's reported to the hotline here. CPS investigates. CPS decides that there's no abuse, so the case can be closed here. Now, if CPS feels that this case needs to be open, there's two avenues where this case can go. Now, there's family-based safety services. That's where the children remain in the home. So investigation is saying, okay, parents, there's not enough immediate urgency to take the children out of the home, but you need to work services, whatever service they can be. Maybe there's no drug use in the home, but there's domestic violence where there's no immediate danger to the children. The children will remain in the home and the parents will work services. Now, it can come all the way to here where they're working their plan. They're given the resources to work. Caseworker will make a decision whether they're going to close the case, or if the parents aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, or the case gets worse, we find out because of this domestic violence that was going on, that there has been drug use, well, then the case can go legal, which is here. Okay, so the child is placed in the home. So the child is removed from the home, is either placed in a kinship home, in a kinship placement, kinship being relative, or a non-kinship home. So we talked about what the biological parents need to do, which is the service plan here. So if they work the service plan, the child is reunited, or the child is adopted by that non-kinship parent. And here it states if it's a kinship home, the child can be reunited with the parents. The child is adopted, or in both cases, here, the child can age out, as we talked about some of your cases where children have aged out of the home. So family-based services, we talked about that. Whereas the children remain in the home, parents complete a service plan. They do sign a contract for that. CPS caseworker will give the family resources to work on whatever issues they have. CPS will continue to monitor the home. There's no time frame on this because it's not really a legal case at this point. And then CPS tries to come up with the best outcome. Hopefully that's the children being safe in the home.
I switched to the kinship placement.
Was that?
It's already on the next slide.
Oh, it is. Okay, kinship placement.
Unless you want
Nice.
to do this. That was the last one.
Okay, so that was relative placement also. I think we covered this pretty much here. Yeah, go back to the kinship again. I'm sorry. And because it's us, it's Divinity. We always try to find a kinship home. CPS tries to find that kinship home. Now, there's other agencies that do this, but I'm telling you what Divinity does. If you have a home where CPS has found a relative home and they need home repair, Divinity will help this family with a home repair. Okay. If they need plumbing, we have enough resources, or we will pay for the plumbing if that's what they need. Whatever it takes for that kinship family to get their license, Divinity will do that. We do not turn anybody away for that reason. All right. We will use our own money if we need to, but we found other resources within this community and other communities that will help in helping this family get their license. Okay. As far as payment, because I don't think this is part of what I have here. Usually, the foster parent will get $800 a month per child for basic level of care. And depending on the attention that the child is needed, okay? So basic is a basic child, if there is such a thing. And then we go up to moderate level of care that they need a little bit more help, specialized level of care, and then there's intense level of care. Usually the specialized, some of the specialized and a lot of all the intense are using an RTC, a rehabilitative home. And depending on the level of care of the child, that's the payment that the foster parent will get. $800, moderate, I believe, is about $1,100 and goes to about $1,300 and $1,700 for an intense level of care. A lot of the child placement agencies, some just take basic level of care, CPS is a child placement agency. They just take basic. We at Divinity will take basic, moderate, and specialized funded care. So if y'all guys ever need to make a referral, just know that we're here to help out as well. And of course, with the foster parent, we allow the foster parent before the child is placed with them to look at the history of the child. Foster parent will have contact with a lot of people. We ask the foster parent to make their will as small as possible. We need to be careful with that because we want these children to have a normal life as much as possible. We want them to play soccer, baseball. We want them to be part of Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. Anything that your child will do, that's what we want these foster kids to do as well. They're normal kids who have lived through lots of trauma. As we mentioned about reunification. So if they complete the service plan, not just checking the boxes, but they've shown that they can take care of these children. It's called protected capacities. If the biological parents show these protected capacities as they complete their service plan, there will be reunification. Usually reunification, again, the CASA workers know this, is that we put the child back in the home and we call it a monitored return. So this monitored return usually lasts for the life of the case. So usually around the 5th month, when we're going back to the hearing for that first permanency hearing, at that point, we're asking the judge for the children to go back to the home. We're not closing the case because we want to have a monitored return all the way through merits to see how the children are doing in the home. During this time, the families are still being monitored. The children are still going to therapy. We're making sure that they go to the doctor, the dentist, to school. We're making sure that the parents are still working the service plan if they have not completed this. And we're still looking for more resources as well. And of course, we have fostered adopt, what we call legal risk. So if a child is placed in the home, the parents don't do what they're supposed to be doing, which leads to termination, more than likely the foster parents will be asked to adopt the child. And there's straight adoption. If you look in TARE, that's where all the children that are up for adoption are there. So you can get your licenses just as an adoptive parent. You don't need to go through the foster adopt license. You can just be licensed as an adoption family. And this is what that is. And we talk about TARE. And the next slide is going to talk about the Heart Gallery. Again, the Heart Gallery will be coming to Victoria, hopefully soon. We're talking to Belong about that. Okay. Any questions on that? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, is CPS going, they're getting out of all this, but are they going? Hard to do. Are they going, is the CPS going to continue to have a replacement agency, or is that going away?
Eventually that will go away. Okay.
It's a lot to pick that up.
Belong will pick that up. Just consider that this is going to go through stages, and that's usually stage 2. I haven't looked at what the stages are here for Belong, but usually stage 2 is where they start placing children in the home. Okay, as CPS does, right? So CPS will always be investigations. That will never go away for CPS. That's what they're going to just stay with, just investigations. So, and these homes are going to be Belong homes, but they're also going to be a foster home as well, such as with Divinity. So Belong will take that part as well. We talked about the service plans, okay, and going in front of the judge to see if the parents are working the service plans. Well, Belong will be that as well. They will take over the TARE. They will be part of the Heart Gallery as well. Anything that CPS is doing right now, aside from investigations, that's what Belong will be. We ask if that's something that's being successful. Again, since I go sometimes to Lubbock and Dallas in that area as well, there are some of these, such as Belong, that are doing a very good job. I love the people that work for them. They got a good mix of CPS and good management people. It seems to work. What I really like about that is that they're part of the community, such as belong. We've seen Cynthia here. She's the community engagement person here. So for her to get engaged within the community, I think that's very smart. And I don't know if that's a model of the CBC, of these agencies, but agencies such as St. Francis, I'm very high on these people because they come to you. You don't have to be over there chasing them down the hallway. You know, as a CPS retired, I remember those days. Okay, so I can say that. But it just seems that they're doing a better job. The better CBCs are doing a very good job. So yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction as far as that's concerned.
You know, we're definitely in need of foster homes.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a couple that asked me about it last week, and they had tried, they had contacted a couple agencies, and they were told.
Oh,
Yeah, so.
here's my card.
Yeah, and I did, contact our council right away, and, program director gave me, along with a Zoom meeting, I think, the first Saturday and every month.
Yeah.
foster homes and stuff, but,
It's in the call.
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
So we can do that. Yeah. So the question came up as far as information meetings, and we use this as part of the presentation for information meetings. Basically, to become a foster parent, the first thing that you need to do is attend one of these information meetings. Okay. So you just attended an information meeting, so now you become foster parents. But Belong, as other agencies, they have information meetings through Zoom, and the community is invited. They broadcast this in their website, and they'll have that information meeting. Then the next step is you choose a child placement agency. I don't know if I should do this one, but just tell it on. Okay. Because yeah, with Divinity, we didn't have much of a presence here, but now we have 4 licensed families here in the Victoria area. We have 6 that are being licensed, and hopefully we're going to have an office here pretty soon as well. So yeah, we're definitely going to have a presence here. That's my job. Try to get you guys to come to us. Okay. And just keep that in mind, is that since we are the kinship agency, we try to get everybody licensed as quickly as possible. All right. Because it's the kinship that needs the monies, right? More than non-foster, non-kinship. So we try to get these families licensed as quickly as possible. If we have everything quick, if the foster parents, prospective foster parents get everything ready for us, then we can get the families licensed within 2 months. So we do it pretty quickly because we have a team of people that are working on that. Any other questions? It's hard to be an after dinner speaker, but that's. One other agency that I would love to present to you guys, and Rachel and myself were talking about that. It's Texas Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. I think, Tim, you've spoken to Mercedes. And what they have done is that it started in San Antonio. Mercedes Bristol, the executive director, is a good friend of mine. I wanted to volunteer for them, being a grandparent myself and a great grandparent. So I'll show you pictures if you want to see it. But we saw the need. She saw the need because she adopted 4 of her grandchildren. And she went through a myriad of problems with CPS. So she did not want these grandparents to go through the same difficulties as she's had. So she started this agency called Texas Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. It started in San Antonio. Now she has 17 chapters within about 3, I think no more than 3 years. Now she has 17 chapters here in Texas. Pretty cool. So more than anything else, what we do and what I do to help her out is if there's any CPS cases where the grandparents are not being treated properly, she will give me that case so I can work on that case for her. So I'm not here to give legal advice, but if there's something in our gut that doesn't seem right, well, I'll start making calls. And I'm very blessed to do that for this agency. It's a huge agency. Great Christmas party, Thanksgiving party there in San Antonio. So if y'all guys want to volunteer or have one here in Victoria, maybe this could be the next day. Oh, yeah. So we're trying hard. Rachel and myself, we're talking about that just right now to see if we can have Texas grandparents raising grandchildren come. There's a lot of other things I don't want to talk about, but I think we touched on a little bit of everything. Don't forget about the ACP-AMC, that's important. Email me, here's my card, email me. I'll get you on that list so you can be part of this. We want to come here to Victoria, especially the art gallery. A lot of other things that are going on that I want Victoria to be part of. One of the things that we're having, that we started earlier this year, Amanda helped me out a little bit here, is that we started, what's the name of our collaborative? Golden Crescent Children's Project. So when I tell you that I made a beeline to come talk to Wanda with my new job here as a community engagement director, I came to Wanda. One of the things that Wanda said that she felt that we're not cohesive here in Victoria. So we started making some phone calls. So we had Wanda, and then we called CASA second because I'm comfortable with CASA. But there's quite a number of agencies now that are part of this collaborative. How many do you think? 20 maybe? Yeah. So we have 20 agencies that are part of this collaborative. This past July 20th was a great day here in Victoria because we invited Bishop Blake. He's the Methodist bishop. He has what's called the Church Child Initiative. Very dynamic man. He's a good friend of mine. Has his church in Brownwood, Texas. But he does a number of things with child welfare. He started a care portal. I don't know if y'all guys heard the care portal, but I won't bore you too much with that. But basically what that is that if there is a family in need, whether it be a biological family or it's the foster family that needs some help, the care portal, you'll go into that portal, ask for help, and there'll be a church that's going to help out. What we feel is that if we're going to mount a charge against this child welfare, it needs to start with the church. Don't care what kind of church it is, what denomination it is, but usually the good people are the ones that go to church, usually, okay? There's some that are good people that don't go to church, right? But we want the church to be part of this. So anytime that there's a need for the biological parents, the foster parents, to keep the children in the home, that care portal will be involved. Basically, CPS, you guys can get into the care portal, make a referral. There's a church, maybe this foster parent needs help with the plumbing. Well, this church will send church members there to fix the plumbing so this family can get their license. Pretty cool thing. I think, Amanda, you had somebody that wanted to be part of this, right? One of the churches. Yeah. Pretty cool. And I invite CASA to be part of it too. Yeah, please, if y'all can be that. Because it's very important. It's throughout the state of Texas. Bexar County has it, Travis County has it. There's a charge, but it's minimal to be part of it.
Into that charge, hoping them to nonprofit rate, but we'll explore that more.
Yeah.
We do hope in the coming years, next year after the upcoming legislative session, that we can work more with families and the family-based care system.
Awesome.
So rather than waiting for legal to come in, we have a removal. So we're hoping that we can provide resources and connections to families and communities to help these folks.
That's great. A lot of good things are going to be coming out of this next legislature for kinship families, and it's going to be a lot more of communities, agencies helping these families that are in that. We talked about that family base. Children, as Casa knows, there's that many referrals that you guys are getting as before. That's because there was a bill that was passed. It's called House Bill 567. And what that happened was that there's not as many removals. As a matter of fact, it's been cut down to 40 to 50% removal now, because they're trying to keep these the children in the home. I don't like it at all. We talked about some of these families. I know Bear County better than I do Victoria County. So I'll go back to Bear County. A lot of these families that have problems with methamphetamines, with domestic violence, these kids are not being removed from the home, unfortunately. Or if they're being removed from the home, they're being placed with a relative and the case is being closed. Makes no sense to me at all. My boss, Tom Molnar, talks to the legislature, and it doesn't seem that they're bending their ear towards us in response to this, unfortunately. They want to keep the children in the home. I don't know if it's because it's less expensive to do that. I'm not quite sure what it is. One of the state legislatures that I spoke with said that a child's going to have trauma, whether they're going to be in the biological home with an abuse or in a foster home, which is way out of line, even to say. I won't name that representative, but that was very, very depressing to hear that. Well, I never heard of a foster family that used methamphetamines or there was domestic violence. That was my response to him, but he just did not want to hear it. So there's that group, that clique of state legislatures that we need to fight and say that this House Bill 567 needs to change. So basically, let me explain a little bit what House Bill 567 is. I'll get off my soapbox here. I'll give it to you. House Bill 567 gives a different definition of abuse. It's called immediate danger. So a child will not be taken out of the home, removed from the home, unless there's immediate danger. One question that I asked the regional director for investigations in San Antonio is to define immediate danger. And I remember this perfectly because it bothers me. Not her fault, okay? Not her fault. Number one, if they find a child in the middle of the street, law enforcement gets involved because the parent's not around. That's one removal. Secondly, if there's a preponderance of evidence of sexual abuse in the home, that's a removal. Third and last, if a child has been so severely abused that they have to be taken to the hospital, to an emergency room, law enforcement is called, that's a removal, okay? That's when they become legal cases. So what happens in these cases where there's meth, because there's always an increase in methamphetamines. So if there's an increase in methamphetamines, there's an increase in domestic violence, on and on and on. The children are not being removed, or if they're being removed, if Richard Garza or Mercedes Bristol complains enough and they're being removed, this case is not being open. All they're doing is placing the child in a home, usually a relative home or a fictive kin home, and then the case is closed. Nothing, no therapy is given to the child. No effort towards reunification towards the biological parents. That needs to change. You will see if you just Google this House Bill 567, get involved, call your legislature, email them, whatever it takes to get this thing changed. There are some legislatures, state representatives that are listening, but we need more of that. I forget who the legislature is here, but that's one person that's listening as well. So beat her door, send her lots of emails. That's one person for sure that's listening to that. Any other questions, anything I can help you with? I'm hoping this has been helpful. Again, I love coming to Victoria. I love sitting down with you. Thank you, Debbie. Oh, thank you.